Before we start this episode of Sports Legends with Bevo, a shout out to two of our sponsors, Ryan Bridges from Elders Goolwa and also Steve Chapman from Victor Harbour Motor Co. Make sure you see both those guys if you're looking to buy a car or buy a house or sell a car or sell a house. You'll see their details up on the screen now. Obviously, two local legends, so make sure you get behind them and really appreciate their support. Hey folks, this next episode of Legends with Bevo does contain content that you may find triggering, so just check the show notes for more details. Thank you. Well, for the second time, he's on Legends with Bevo. I reckon last time we might have been doing this on Zoom, Troy Gray, I think around the COVID times when you just started off with Charity TV Global, which we'll get to in a moment. But welcome to Legends with Bevo again.
Yeah, I feel very honoured 2 times. And look at you, having you come along nicely. You got the full setup and very honoured to be sitting opposite you, mate.
Oh, thank you so much, mate. Now, obviously, the people that don't actually know, you played footy for the Sydney Swans and St Kilda. And last year, Taylor Adams broke a record that you're actually a part of as well. Can you explain that in a bit more detail?
Yeah, well, most people that play professional sport, especially AFL, they talk about the premierships, they talk about the Brownlow medals, the best and fairest. Well, Taylor Adams last year, he missed out on playing for Collingwood in the grand final in 23. Then the Swans, he missed out on in 24.
Yep.
And then on a footy show, they put up a graphic and the bloke before him was me. So I was at St Kilda and the Swans back-to-back years, 96, 97. Both teams lost. I didn't play in either. So, cheers to me for being the biggest loser in the studio right now. And I've got one other tidbit for you.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you cast your mind back to round 7, 1992, the Sydney Swans lost. Not one, we lost 26 games in a row and I was part of that team. So kudos to me, hey? Don't we love our AFL stories?
Hey, but you have played at the highest level, which not many people can say they have. And that would have been a pretty amazing experience despite the non-success over those years.
Well, we started off unsuccessful, but over the 5 years I had at the Swans before being traded to St Kilda, we went from cellar dwellers, easy beats, right through to, 4 or 5 years later in a grand final. So it just shows you how much professional sport can change. We had faith, we had a great team. It was hard back in those days. And I remember back in 95, which was probably my best season, I was playing fullback for most of that year. And one week you'd be on Modra, then Dunstall, then Ablett, then Lockett. It's just crazy the era that you played in. And I look back and I'm so proud of the accomplishments, be they good or bad, but just, being part of that system was wonderful.
Oh, that'd be pretty scary being on guys like Lockett and Ablett and Modra obviously wondering when he's going to sit on your head, I can imagine.
Yeah, Modra took 2 marks in about 5 minutes on me at the SCG one day and I got dragged. Ron Barassi was our coach. But as far as being worried or concerned, playing on those big fellas, especially Plugger, before he did come and join me as a teammate, when I played against him at Sydney and he was at St Kilda, he would say things that would put the fear of God in you. But back then you were able to go, okay, well, if that's the way you want to go about it, I might even give you a bit back. Now, you could do that. Not to say that I was brave and I probably would have jumped the fence and gone and joined someone up in the third row just to get away from him. But what a great era to be part of. Physicality, hard and positional play. So now, as you see, people just move around the ground like a big scrum. But back then, if you were full forward, you stayed, in the forward 50.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to go back to those golden years with the big bags of goals, and obviously this year we've got Jeremy Cameron on 80, and I think everyone, other than maybe Chris Scott, has been calling for the Cats great to actually get to that 100. But obviously, like you said, footy's just changed so much, and we'll get to that in a moment. But we're talking off air, and I love this story too because I've been like this back in the day when I had hair and was a single lad. Telling the old fib to try and get the ladies and what have you. And I love this story too when the Swans weren't going so well and you came up with some pretty good stories.
Yeah.
About that.
First of all, lift the hat, see me what's under there. Is there a wig under there or just a nice shiny hair? Yep.
It's not this hair either. I'll get reminded of as well. So.
So when I went to the Swans and after being drafted to them, it was a boyhood dream. I grew up in country New South Wales in a place called Leeton. All I wanted to do was play footy. That was my passion. And we got there, or I did and other players, at the end of 91, and then just proceeded to lose a lot of games. So when you were out and about, as you're saying, as a young whippersnapper working the clubs, you would tell people that, hi, my name's Wayne. I fly the Westpac rescue chopper, and I used to be a dolphin trainer. Things that would get people engaged rather than saying I play for the Swans and we can't win a game. It wasn't any boasting material there, but it was fun.
Was it a success?
Well, that's for another show, isn't it? That's the After Dark Bevo version.
Very, very true. Oh, I love that. And after your career as well, you went on and had a successful media career. You read the Channel 9 Sport for a number of years and also a part of Feeling Good. How did you get into the media, and what was that time for, or what was that time like for you as well?
Well, after my time in the AFL, Sydney, St Kilda, then I came across and played with West Adelaide. I was only going to stay in Adelaide for that particular season. And then it got me thinking, when I wasn't at training or playing, what am I going to do with my life? I was still only mid-20s. And all I'd known is football, and I had a passion for the media. So it was really hard because it was only back then where the broadcasting was starting to ramp up. FM radio had just got football. You used to only be able to hear it on the AM dial. And it was littered with big names. So for someone like me, who was a player but not a great player, I really had to come up with some left of centre ways to put my foot in the door. So I was having a beer and a barbecue with my mates, and we put in a cassette into the cassette deck, play and record. And I pretended that I was one of those Black Thunders, the promotional vehicles down at the beach giving away cold Coke and warm pies. And I put it in the mail and off it went. Yeah, and I got a call back a few weeks later, and I got an opportunity, and it sort of grew from there.
Was that with Triple M? Or
with Triple M. Driving around, just having some fun and just working on my craft. And then what I would do is I would go back in after hours, and I'd spend even the night shift learning how to edit, learning how to produce, all the craft and techniques of all aspects of media. And I think that really served me well for when I decided to try and make a leap into television.
That's amazing. And speaking of that leap into television, like I mentioned, you were in the news for Channel 9 and also part of the Feeling Good TV show as well. What was it like doing those two things?
Yeah, the Channel 9 News was the first thing. I hounded them and knocked on their door and said, I want to do this. There was no opportunity then because you've only got a handful of newsreaders, and until someone moves out, retires, or is replaced, you sit there just waiting. So I then came up with an idea for a TV show and created the Feeling Good program on Channel 9. And while I was doing that, I'd keep knocking on the door of the programming department saying, I can jump on the news desk. I'm pretty keen to anchor. And I got my opportunity, and I moved in and read the news for 6 or 7 years, in particular sport, and then went across and started doing the Today program, Weekend Today program in particular, over the summer period. And that helped me grow and get some wonderful connections. And I really loved the television side, so I got a little bit more hands-on in production.
And I guess, did you have mentors along the way, Troy, and who are some of the biggest names that you worked with?
Yeah, look, for people in South Australia, you'd remember Rob Kelvin. For me, he was definitely, from a newsreader perspective, was the guy. He was just enamored with teaching, and he'd listen, and he was a great shoulder, on and off camera, in between stories. He'd just keep telling you things to help you feel more comfortable, but also craft with the cameras and, interaction. So, yeah, definitely him. And, as far as interstate, I got to work on radio as well with people like Steve Quartermain, Eddie Maguire. Oh, so they were fantastic. And also the start of James Brayshaw's career when he was on radio in South Australia. I got to know him really well and loved his enthusiasm. I loved his energy. And it's great to see where he's gone with his talent. He's a great person on air, and be that radio or television.
Gee, you've worked some absolute greats there for sure. And we love all the bloopers and that sort of thing. No doubt you've got a few stories to share there.
Yeah, we used to have an end-of-year Christmas party, and they put the bloopers up, and most of the time you hadn't seen them because you forget the mic's on. So I had some horrendous occasions. In fact, one really strange thing, I got approached by, remember the TV show McLeod's Daughters?
Of course, yeah.
So that was syndicated around the world, and they were doing some flashback segments where they needed someone to play a young Jack McLeod, and Jack was the father, and they were his daughters. The show was named after, and a casting agent approached me and said, I think you'd be perfect for it, but I've never acted. So here I am on set with all these people, and I had no idea what I was doing, absolutely freaking out. And yeah, the bloopers that came up from that, I just sat back and went, oh my God, I'm there with mud on my face. I've got an Akuba on. I'm pretending to be a farm boy and made a complete fool of myself. But ultimately, they edited around it. And so, yeah, my episodes went across the world, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely love those stories. And I remember having Jess Braithwaite on the show, and she was telling me stories of, like, people pulling moonies while she's doing the weather cross and that sort of thing. And did you ever come across things like that during your time? Or
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I loved it. I'd encourage it. I wanted people to be crazy. I remember going over for the finals, being outside the MCG, and you do a live broadcast.
Yeah.
And, you're live. You have no prompter. You have notes, but you really don't want to refer to them, and you've got something in your ear, but screaming people all around you, and you're trying to hold your composure. And yeah, the things that were happening off camera, and that's not just from the public, that's from your cameraman and a few others, just to have some fun. But yeah, I reveled in that sort of atmosphere and really enjoyed the live style of things and the energy and the fun you can have with it.
Speaking of television, like I mentioned before, last time we spoke during the COVID times, you just started a charity TV Global, and that was flying, and recently decided to pull the pin on that. Why the decision to finish up? And obviously we spoke about this off air as well. There's been some different allegations, definitely not true, but yeah, you've got some information about that as well.
Yeah, well, back in 2005, I went across to Nepal, and I've always wanted to go to Mount Everest. And as part of a group, we were raising money and profile for a charity. So that's 20 years ago. And I had never filmed at that stage. So I got a camera crew together, went all the way across, to Nepal, and we went up to base camp and beyond, and just came back and was able to raise profile for a great charity. And what I got out of that was, this is passion. It's something I really like. I always work with charities when I played football. That was all part of the DNA of football clubs and helping others. But I really enjoyed trying to mix philanthropy with entertainment. So we were doing one of those projects a year. So we went over to the Kokoda Trail. We walked along the Hyson Trail. We started going around Australia, and it started to grow. So then it became its own beast, and we created Charity TV Global on the back of that. And then started taking the show into New Zealand, and then into the South Pacific. We were shooting in Vanuatu and the Solomon Islands, and it was just wonderful. But with all of that, the growth got too big on us. The production costs just were blown way out. Post-COVID, we lost all of our contra partners. And when you're taking 20 people, around the world on planes, accommodation, catering, insurance, everything just got too big. And ultimately, the net proceeds just dried up. We didn't have the capacity to pay charities. We went into liquidation. We tried to rescue it. We're unsuccessful. And in that process, upset a lot of people. So really hard process, because the whole reason that we existed was to create awareness and funds to then give back as a social enterprise to worthy causes. And when you're unable to do that, it's not great for us, but it's certainly not great for the charities that were expecting those funds. And yeah, it's created a lot of noise. And as you rightly said, there's a lot of untruths being circulated. But the one thing is, we tried, and we had a great team, and we changed a lot of lives, be they the people that starred in our shows or the charities that were able to receive their net proceeds. And yeah, really proud of that.
Oh, well done. And the people that have been making all these allegations and criticising you as well, what advice do you have for them?
It's a really interesting one, because at the start, it takes you to a dark place, because you know how much good you've done, and then that, is it because of you that it's failed? Why wasn't I able to hold on to this dream that I'd had for 20 years, where, we even got to America at one stage on the Grammy Awards, filming over there, and people say, oh my God, you sit on the intersection of Hollywood and philanthropy. And we were meeting, celebrities, and having them tell us that, we thought the world was our oyster.
Yeah.
But the realization is that when you're making television, the production costs are enormous, and they kept getting bigger, which meant that, the profits, all those net proceeds, they just weren't there. And even when there were wonderful people that were raising funds for charity, We were trying to work with them to ensure that those funds could be allocated to the right areas. Our production costs, they went. We then lost an entire share portfolio that we'd invested all our, or a lot of our money into. And then we had some issues with staffing. And when those end up in court and legal matters, it causes a whole host of confusion in the public. And very few people, they don't necessarily engage you to find out the truth. They just want to hear something that's fabricated. And then if that same false narrative is told, then those people believe it's the truth. Where in effect, I just deal with facts and try and make sure that people understand why and how, unfortunately, my business didn't succeed.
Yeah, it's just horrible, like we spoke about off air as well. But it's a credit to you, that you're smiling and you've still got that positive attitude. Obviously, there would have been some great times over those years. Do you want to sort of share us some of those moments as well, Troy?
Oh, for sure. I've met some of my best friends through the project. And for those that haven't heard about it before, essentially we would encourage people to align themselves to a charity, and then their reward for being philanthropic was to then star on our TV show. And we'd take them away for a week to an undisclosed location, and we'd do some absolutely amazing things. So there would be nothing after 65 shows that I think you could come up with that I haven't done. So whether it's, something out of a plane, whether it's something in the ocean, whether it's, beneath the earth in adventure caving, quad biking, horse riding, the list and the places that I've gone, wonderful, but it's the people I've met. And whether they be the cast, the crew, best television crew that I've ever worked with. But I do have to give a shout out to, they're an Adelaide-based company called Merlin, and Merlin Post-Production are just the best people to work with, and gave me the opportunity to travel the world with cameras, updated technology and equipment that made us not only award-winning, but we ended up screening around the world.
Unbelievable. So, yeah, obviously you're still smiling every time we talk about it, and that's so good. Because now, there's different ways you could have gone down that dark path, but credit to you, you've now started your own business. So Grey Advisory, give that one a plug.
Yeah, well, it's a new incarnation. It's basically on the back of, funny enough, things that haven't gone well in my life, that I've got to a point at my age that I wish I had have learnt and been aware of some things I could have done with my finances. And that's where I want to deal with real people. I want to solve real problems. And whether people are looking for a strategic loan, whether they're looking to buy a house, whether they're looking to invest, to refinance, or they're just wanting to make smart financial decisions to set them up either now or look at retirement, look at their superannuation, look at their existing portfolio. Well, I'm not the person that's going to take them to the promised land, but I'm the one that can get them to the right expert. So Grey Advisory is effectively a connector and a referral service where I am lucky enough to be surrounded by 70 different lenders and 100 experts. And I can get access to those depending on what the people need. So I don't have to be a salesperson. I'm just there to listen and then go, I know how we can help you, or I know how we can take you forward, because I've been through it. I've had some massive hurdles, but I've learnt from the best now, and I'm wanting to get out there and go, hey, guess what can be done? And it's funny, just by doing that a few times on social media, I've been speaking with people in London, been speaking with people from Indonesia, Thailand, the US, all based on certain avenues and leaders of industry that are looking for investors, or they're looking for ways to help people, and they're real people with real solutions. And that's what I want to be part of. And I think that'll put a smile on my face, and hopefully my clients as well.
You're an absolute go-getter. And back in the day, we spoke again about this off air, and your beautiful head of hair you got there, mate. Destination for men. How'd that idea come about?
Oh, look, I got to talk. If you're going to bring the hair up, most people, it's real, 100%. Like, this is the crazy part.
No greys either.
No. The only grey around me is my surname. But, my beard is all white. But the crazy thing is, so we have football reunions all the time. You talk about blokes from farms, blokes from footy, robust fellas in their 50s, all gathering at the bar. And I walk in and they want to know, what's going on? You're putting boot polish in your hair. Surely you've been to Turkey for a transplant or something. But I have to say, genetics, I've been very fortunate. And I've got to say too, that people say that stresses and drama in your life can lead to losing your hair or it going grey. I'm living proof that ain't the truth, because I've been through a lot, and yeah, I'm very fortunate. So it's dark, but by the time this goes to air, I might just get a shock of grey one morning and it'll all be gone. So we'll hang on to it while I can.
Well, when I did actually have hair, I was going for the old Just for Men back in the day, and I used to get called chocolates and all sorts of things because I had similar colours to you.
Oh, right. No, let's be honest here. Come on, you don't want any defamation proceedings. This is real. This is natural. It's actually quite a good point I want to bring up too, is when you're moving in public circles, you become fodder for attacks. And the amount of people that, whether it's your hair, whether it's your face, like recently I've been undergoing a chemotherapy cream treatment for skin cancers or potential skin cancers. And I only found that out through the Players Association linked to the Australian Football League. So kudos to them. They gave me the opportunity to go in and get an examination. And anyway, they found these abnormal cells and they wanted to treat them with chemotherapy. And it's a cream you apply twice a day. Now, I know we were having some fun before, but the interesting part is I had red all over my face. Your skin blisters up. It does peel off. It's not great, but I was in Canberra recently and my face wasn't looking great. So I had to apply some makeup and did a piece to camera and I posted it on socials. And the amount of people though that were attacking me, in particular one or two, for my appearance, for the way that my face looked, or it just got me thinking. And there's another thing we'll go down as to what I do also away from the camera and business. But people these days can be so nasty, and if it's said in good jest from your mates, you can probably cop it. But from those that know nothing about you, that want to ridicule your appearance, it says more about them, I think, than me. So although we all have fun, we all have a heart. We can all be hurt. And it's quite interesting. The keyboards have given us warriors worldwide. So, if you're one of them, stop.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I think especially we talk about the footy situation and I back for Port and just seeing what poor Ken Hinkley's been through over the years and his resilience and that sort of thing. Like I've actually had arguments with Port supporters because, they call me Happy Clapper and all that sort of thing. But it's like, well, what he's done for the club has been remarkable. And this guy has a young family and that his kids are at school, what have you. People just don't think about that. It's just horrible.
Yeah, you only have to look over in America, how many celebrities, personalities that have had public mental health issues. Some have taken their own lives. It's really sad. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. And I know that we did speak about this off air and to see whether it was okay. And I do want to speak about mental health, in particular, a campaign that I founded, which is to bring awareness to the word suicide, which is very hard for most people to say, even myself, but also to destigmatize it and to allow us to talk openly about it like we are now.
Strike Out Suicide is such a great thing that you've started, and explain a bit more about how it came about, and obviously it's a terrible situation, and again condolences what happened to your dad, but I'll get you to explain that in a bit more detail.
I was 21, so I was playing for the Sydney Swans in my third year of football. Prior to being drafted, I lived with my father. My parents had separated, and I lived with Dad, and maintained a wonderful friendship with him. He loved his football. He was a bit of a rogue, certainly a larrikin. He had some interesting backstories. But I was training one day at pre-season, just after my 21st, where I had seen him and he'd spoken at my 21st. And I was training and I was asked to leave the training track by some of the coaching staff, and I just thought it was just a general chat in the coaches' room, and they surrounded me and said, "Listen, mate, you've got to go home. Your father's passed away." And I had only just spoken to him, and I didn't really think that it was factual. So they then told me that he'd taken his own life, and I just it's hard for me to think back, because I did go into a shell for many years where I almost have blacked out a lot of that negative stuff. But having to deal with that and the police, and he'd left a letter which ultimately I didn't read, and there were just a whole number of things, and I don't even really remember the funeral, because I think I was just so engrossed, with emotion and not knowing what had happened. And I then parked all of that. So what I want to say to people watching this now is that did me no good. I stored that in the back of the head, and a lot of drama happened to me physically and mentally because of that, because I was harboring such deep emotional issues and not talking about it. And it took me until it was probably about 4 years ago. Yeah, that I'd undergone some operations, and I was, through football, I'd had multiple knee operations. I just had a heap of screws and bolts put in my right knee. I had my shoulder reconstructed. Then I had my bicep reattached, all in a short period of time. And I was sitting down, and I was out the back with a big boxing bag, just sort of hitting it with one arm, the good arm. And I thought to myself, I don't know how it came. It strike out suicide, the striking motion, the boxing glove. And then I came up with a motion about striking out suicide. And I went and registered the name. I started a Facebook page. I started talking about it, and the relief, the weight off my shoulders, I'm now able to be open and honest about what had happened to my family. And through that, I've had people from all walks of life, from TV personalities to sports stars and everyone in between, hit me up for a chat and say that they've gone through similar, or they're going through something themselves. And I've learned how to listen, and I've learned how to help and be a person that you can just use as a sounding board. And it's been very beneficial for me and very cathartic.
So how can people follow Strikeout Suicide? Strikeout
Suicide is available on social media, so Facebook and Instagram. It is a campaign. It's not a charity, but it is something that I try and utilize personalities and profiled people to bring awareness to. And you'll see on there, we've got, Olympians and rugby league stars, rugby union stars. We've got AFL players, TV personalities, boxers. They're wonderful, and they love the cause. And it's because we're just trying to talk to you, look you in the eye and say, it's okay. It happens. And the one thing I love is, someone said to me, everyone can get stuck in a dark tunnel. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, but some people's tunnels are longer. So what that means is you could be walking through that tunnel and you can't see the light. And then you decide to turn around and go back because you've given up, when just around that next corner, you might have seen the light. You have to keep going forward. And when that all happens, you are going to feel better, but you also have to then talk to someone. Because it's the talking to someone like I did that releases that, and it allows people to know where you are at. And most of us, we all put on a smile, and it's very Aussie to say, how you going? Good. How you going? Good. Then we move on.
Yeah, that's right.
Even the Are You Okay Day, kudos for the campaign, but Are you okay? Yeah. Are you okay? Yeah. Really, I'm not, but I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Or I'm not well, and then you say, oh, God, I wish I hadn't asked him, because here he goes. He's going to complain. He's going to bring something up. Oh, why did I have to ask how he's going? He's always down. He's always flat. Well, I'm just hoping now that through my own experiences, I can encourage others to listen, because the listening part is definitely the hardest part.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we let you go as well, just a couple more things. You've actually got a book that's coming out fairly soon, which is very exciting.
Yeah, it's a book so I have some really crazy experiences in my life, and that's for a whole nother show. And when I started putting that down onto paper, right from, when I was a young fella through to current day, I had sounded that off a few people that I know in the industry that are in the entertainment space, and they're like, holy cow, is this all true? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, this is crazy. I didn't know half this about you. And what I do know now, that has to be written down. That can be turned into something special. So I started writing some things down, and then I sent out a proposal to agents and publications and just, publishing houses to get their response. And I got a wonderful response. And so that's now driven me to start tapping away and finish the book, which will be around 70 to 80,000 words. I was hoping to have it ready for release this Christmas, but it'll more than likely be next year, because it does take a lot.
We'll have to get you on for sure to talk about that.
Yeah.
And the most important question for today, Troy Gray, I've just started this recently, thanks to my producer, Rory Noak. What was your go-to footy song for the Legends of Bevo Spotify playlist?
Oh, it's Ice Ice Baby. Vanilla Ice. Do you want every word?
I love it.
You want me to sing it?
Go for it.
All right, stop. collaborate and listen. The ass is back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly, flow like a hawk, move daily and nightly. Will it ever stop, yo? I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll glow. To the streamer, rock a mic like a vandal. Light up the stage with the chump like a candle. Dance, that's enough. These people are getting. But yeah, I love it. And I have actually sang on stage with Vanilla Ice. So,
no way.
Yeah, it was my Beatles, Elvis Presley moment. I 100%. I was so keen to meet him.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So for my 40th, I wanted to try and see if I could get a message from Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
And I wasn't successful. And then he had a world tour with all these other rappers. And I went to a show and I told the organisers, oh, I'm mad. You know, I want to do an interview. I want to meet him. Yeah, like fanboying, hilarious. Who would have thought that I would like, you know, this sort of music?
Yeah.
And then I was sitting there and they had all the acts. He was the final act. And a security guard came and got me and said, hey, mate, you're out. It's a true story. I was with three. It was a Monday night. I had half a light beer, you know, just standing there watching. And he goes, you're out. So he takes me out and I said, you've got the wrong guy because I've done nothing. And then out we go around the back and then straight up these stairs. And now I'm on the stage. He says, it's your time. And I'm like, no way. So yeah, I've got great vision of it. And went out and started singing with him.
We might include that in this video.
Yeah. It was that was a wonderful moment. So I hope I haven't lost your viewers with liking someone like that.
Oh, I know I stuffed on a couple of lines, but I thought I did okay.
You were good.
That is amazing. Hey, that's a great way to finish. Troy Gray, thanks so much for coming on Sports Legends of Bevo again, and we'll speak again very soon.
Thanks, Bevo.